Hi guys! Today we are going to learn about elapsed time. Elapsed time is the amount of time that passes between one time and another time. So let's look at these two clocks. The first one shows the time of 1:30. The second one shows the time of 2:30. So often it's pretty easy to figure out elapsed time questions using mental math in our head, right? So if I said I started reading my book at 1:30 and I stopped reading my book at 2:30 and I want to know the elapsed time, right? The question then is, how long was I reading my book? What was the amount of time that passed while I was reading my book? And this one would be pretty easy to figure out in our head. 1:30 to 2:30, that's 1 hour that has passed. But we do get problems that aren't so easy to calculate in our head, and in that case you need to have a strategy to use. So we are going to learn today how to use a number line to work elapsed time problems. Let's look at this problem. Cal started his math homework at 7:50. He was done at 10:07. How long did he work on his math homework? So what information do we have in this problem? This is an elapsed time word problem. Cal started his math homework at 7:50. So we have a start time. He was done at 10:07. That's a 0. He was done at 10:07. So that is our end time. How long did he work on his math homework? Meaning the time that passed while he was working on it. That's the elapsed time we're trying to figure out. That's our question. So to use a number line, we're going to draw a number line. And guys, as I have said all through my whole class this whole year in math, use space on your paper. Don't draw a tiny little baby number line. Make a big number line where you can see what you're doing. Don't be afraid of using space. You need to see your work for this. Okay. So I'm going to put at the beginning of my number line, I'm going to put my start time, which is 7:50. And at the end of my number line, I'm going to put my end time, which is 10:07. There, I squeezed it in. Now, to represent the jumps on our number line, in this case, for time problems, our jumps are going to be segments of time, increments of time. And to do that, that's why I have this key up here, because we're going to be jumping by hours and minutes, and I like to use what's called the mountain strategy because it helps me keep track of if my jumps are hours or if they're minutes and how many minutes they are. So for our purposes, this is a good visual for us to use. If we jump an hour, we're going to draw a mountain. If we jump a segment of 5 minutes, we're going to draw a hill. And if we jump a segment of 1 minute, we're going to draw a rock. So let's see what this looks like. And right now you're just following along and watching me. At 7:50 to get to 10:07, I'm going to start with hours. I like to start with hours. And I'm going to switch colors. I want to, from 7:50, if I add an hour to 7:50, that's going to put me at 8:50. I'm trying to get to 10:07 by making jumps with different increments of time. So 7:50 plus 1 hour gets me to 8:50. Can I make another jump of an hour? Yes, because 8:50 plus 1 hour is going to put me at 9:50. And it's a good idea to make your labels down here kind of slanted so you have room. So 8:50 plus 1 hour puts me at 9:50. Can I make another hour jump? No, because if I did another hour jump, I'd be at 10:50, and that's too far. That's too far past my end time of 10:07. So now I'm done with hours. I need to look at minutes. I'm going to go with some 5-minute increments next, some 5-minute hills. So I'm going to do a 5-minute hill, which 9:50 plus 5 minutes is going to put me at 9:55. I can do another 5-minute hill, which is going to put me at 10 o'clock, right? Because there's no such thing as 9:60 in time. It would be 10 o'clock is next. Can I do another 5 minutes? Yeah, because I'm trying to get to 10:07. So I can do another 5 minutes. 10:05. 10 o'clock plus 5 minutes would put me at 10:05. Now, can I do another 5 minutes? No, because another 5 minutes would put me at 10:10. 10:05 plus 5 minutes would be 10:10, and that would be past 10:07. So now I can't do any more 5-minute hills. That's where my rocks come in. I need to do some rocks to get to 10:07. So if I do one rock, and notice every time I'm doing a rock or a hill or whatever, I'm putting the amount of time that it's worth. All right, so one rock is going to be 10:06. And I can do one more rock, right? One more rock is going to put me at the time that I need to stop at, which is 10:07. So now how do I figure out my elapsed time? Now I need to count up all of this, and this is where the mountain strategy is great because it's super easy for me to count up my elapsed time, to count up my jumps on my number line, hopefully without making errors if you've done it right, because I can easily see these 2 mountains here are my 2 hours. And now I can count everything else as minutes. 5, 10, 15, 16, 17 minutes. And I like to check off things as I count, just like I did here, because then I know what I've counted and what I haven't counted. And it just helps me keep track of everything. So how long did Cal work on his math homework? He worked for 2 hours and 17 minutes because that's how much time passes between 7:50 and 10:07. Let's look at a different one. And you can work this one with me on your own paper. We can kind of work it together. I started knitting at 3:54 and stopped at 6:12. How long was I knitting? So let's think about what information we have here. I started knitting at 3:54. That's my start time. 3:54. I stopped at 6:12. End time is 6:12. How long was I knitting? So how much time passed while I was doing one of my most favorite things? That's the question. That's what I'm trying to figure out, my elapsed time. I'm going to draw a number line. I'm going to put my start time. I'm going to put my end time. And now I've got to make enough jumps to get me from here to here without going over. And I'm going to use mountains, hills, and rocks. So let's start. I'm going to start with a mountain. I personally always like to start with hours, but you don't have to start with hours. You can do your mountains, hills, and rocks in any order that you want as long as you're accurate. But I like to start with mountains. So 3:54 plus 1 hour gets me to 4:54. Can I do another hour? Yeah. That's going to put me at 5:54. 4:54 plus 1 hour gets me to 5:54. Can I do another hour? No, I cannot, because that would put me past my time of 6:12 that I'm trying to stop at, that I need to stop at. So now I can move on to minutes, either hills or rocks. Now, since I'm at 54, I don't want to add 5 yet. I think it would be easier if I just put a little rock here and made that to 5:55, because 5:55 is much easier to add 5 to than 5:54. But that's my preference. Remember, this can be in any order. So now I'm going to add some hills because I'm trying to get to 6:12, so I'm going to add some 5-minute hills. So here's a hill, 5:55 plus 5 minutes is not 5:60, it's 6 o'clock. Can I add another 5 minutes? Yes. Put me at 6:05. I could do another 5 minutes, which would put me at 6:10. Can I do another 5 minutes? No, that would be too much. Can I do some rocks? Yes. I need to do 2 rocks, right? 1 rock would put me at 6:11. And 1 more rock is going to put me at 6:12. Am I done? Well, I'm done with the number line, but I'm not done yet because I haven't answered my question. So that's another mistake that I often see with students is they'll do all this work on the number line and then they'll forget to answer the question. So don't forget to go back and answer the question. What is the elapsed time? I have to go back and add all this up. So I'm going to, how many hours do I have? Which is how many mountains. They're real easy to see. 1, 2 hours. And in case you don't know, you can abbreviate hours with HRS and minutes with MIN. And now I'm going to count up my minutes. 5, 10, 15, 16, 17, 18 minutes. So how long was I knitting? For 2 hours and 18 minutes. Okay, so I'm going to show you one more problem. You can read this, pause the video, and work it out on your own. And then the next screen I show you will have the solution for after you pause it. Mr. Fraser went fishing at 1:52. He didn't come home until 5:26. How long was Mr. Fraser fishing? So pause it and work it out. If you calculated this out correctly, you should have gotten that Mr. Fraser was fishing for 3 hours and 34 minutes. A couple of things to notice here. It's okay if your number line does not look exactly like mine. After I added my hours, I went ahead and did some rocks as minutes. You might not have done that. You might have put your minutes at the very beginning of the number line to get to more of a benchmark number straight away. That's fine. It doesn't matter what order any of this down here is in. That's up to you. As long as it's accurate and that at the end you've gotten to 5:26 accurately and that you add it all up and you got the correct answer of 3 hours and 34 minutes. Another thing you might notice is here I made this hill a 10-minute hill. So when you're doing your hills, I say hills are 5 minutes, but they can be increments of 5 minutes, or multiples of 5 minutes, I should say. So if you wanted to make a 10-minute hill, you could, as long as you label it as a 10-minute hill. You could make a 20-minute hill, like I could have just made this 20 minutes and put a 20 in it. As long as then I know that going from 5 to 5:20 and labeled it properly. So think of your hills as being 5 minutes or multiples of 5. However it works best for you. Make sure that you are labeling everything down here and labeling all of these as well. All right, so you are going to have some practice problems, and I think if you follow this strategy, you will do a great job. Miss you. Bye.